Hyun wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at his cleaning cart. He had been working on the Galactic Council's flagship for 3 years now. It was a good job, even if the aliens sometimes treated him like he was invisible. Humans were new to the galaxy. Most aliens saw them as primitive creatures who barely knew how to leave their own planet. Today was different, though. Today the ship was full of important visitors. Ambassadors from 12 different species were touring the vessel. Hyun had been told to stay out of sight and keep quiet. He was cleaning the lower decks when he heard voices approaching. "This way, honored guests," a voice said. It belonged to Vel, the Valorian ambassador. Vel was tall and blue, with 4 arms and a face that always seemed to be smiling, but Hyun knew that smile meant nothing. Vel enjoyed making fun of humans. Hyun tried to push his cart into a side corridor, but the wheel caught on something. He pulled harder. The cart tipped, and cleaning supplies scattered across the floor. Hyun cursed under his breath and dropped to his knees, grabbing bottles and brushes. The group of ambassadors rounded the corner. They saw Hyun on the floor, surrounded by spilled supplies. Several of them made clicking sounds. Hyun had learned this was how some species laughed. "A human," Vel said, his voice dripping with amusement. "They are clumsy creatures, as you can see, but they work hard, I suppose." Hyun's face burned red. He kept his eyes down and continued gathering his supplies. He wished they would just walk past him. "Where are you taking us now, Vel?" another ambassador asked. This one was covered in gray scales and had a long tail. "To the museum level," Vel replied. "I have a special treat for you all. We are going to see the Throne of Dominion." Hyun's hands froze. Everyone in the galaxy had heard of the Throne of Dominion. It was an ancient artifact from a race called the Precursors. They had disappeared thousands of years ago, but their technology still amazed scientists. The throne was said to be magical. According to legend, it could choose who was worthy to rule the galaxy. "Is it true no one has activated it in 3,000 years?" the scaled ambassador asked. "Completely true," Vel said. "Emperors, conquerors, and kings from 100 worlds have tried. All have failed. The throne has remained dark and silent." The group moved past Hyun. He finished collecting his supplies and stood up. His curiosity got the better of him. He had never seen the throne before. Maintenance workers were not allowed in the museum. But if he was quiet and stayed back, maybe he could peek at it. Hyun followed the group at a distance. They entered a massive hall with high ceilings. In the center of the room, on a raised platform, sat the throne. It was beautiful, made of a crystal-like material that seemed to shift colors in the light. Strange symbols covered its surface. The throne looked ancient but perfect, without a single scratch or mark. The ambassadors gathered around the platform, speaking in hushed voices. Vel climbed the steps and gestured dramatically at the throne. "Behold," he said, "the throne of dominion. The precursors built it to test those who sought to rule. Only someone with the right mind, the right heart, could make it respond. But as you see, it sits dark and dead. Perhaps the precursors' test was impossible. Perhaps no one will ever be worthy." Hyun edged closer, trying to see better. The throne was mesmerizing. He wanted to see the symbols up close. "Careful," someone said. Hyun looked down and saw a small cleaning bot in his path. He stepped sideways to avoid it. His foot landed wrong. He stumbled forward, his hands reaching out to catch himself. His palm hit the throne's armrest. For a moment, nothing happened. Hyun steadied himself and started to pull his hand away. Then he heard gasps from the ambassadors. The throne was glowing. Soft light pulsed from deep within the crystal. The symbols began to shine, each one lighting up in sequence. The light grew brighter and brighter. Hyun tried to step back, but his hand seemed stuck to the armrest. "By the void," Vel whispered. "It is responding." The other ambassadors crowded closer, their previous dignity forgotten. They pushed and shoved to see better. The scaled ambassador took out a device and started recording. "Get him away from it!" someone shouted. But before anyone could move, Vel held up a hand. That cruel smile was back on his face, bigger than ever. "Wait," Vel said. "This is too amusing. The throne responds to a human's touch? Impossible. There must be a malfunction. Perhaps if the human sits on it fully, we will see the error." "You cannot be serious," another ambassador said. "I am very serious," Vel replied. "This will make a wonderful story. The day we put a human janitor on the throne of dominion. Come, human, sit." Hyun shook his head. "No, sir, I should not. I am just a cleaner." "I insist," Vel said. His voice carried a threat now. "Sit down." Hyun looked at the glowing throne. Every instinct told him this was a bad idea. But he was just a human on an alien ship. He had no power here. If he refused, they might fire him, or worse. Slowly, Hyun climbed the steps. The throne's glow intensified as he approached. He could feel heat coming from it now. Not burning heat, but warmth like sunlight. He turned around and carefully lowered himself onto the seat. The moment his body touched the throne, everything changed. Light exploded outward. Not just from the throne, but from every symbol on the platform. The crystal blazed with colors Hyun had no names for. He heard a sound like 1,000 bells ringing at once. The air around him vibrated. The ambassadors fell back, shielding their eyes. Vel's smile vanished. His face showed something Hyun had never seen before: fear. Ancient mechanisms hidden beneath the platform came to life. Gears turned. Crystal panels slid open. A holographic display appeared above the throne, showing text in a language no one could read. But somehow, Hyun understood it. "Candidate recognized," the text said. "Authorization level. Prime. Mandate of unity acknowledged. Imperial protocols activating." The throne lifted into the air, carrying Hyun with it. He gripped the armrests, terrified he would fall. But he felt completely stable, as if gravity had shifted just for him. "Shut it down!" the scaled ambassador screamed. "This cannot be happening." "I do not know how," Vel stammered. "The throne controls itself." For 10 more seconds, the light show continued. Then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. The throne lowered back to the platform. The lights faded, the symbols dimmed. Hyun sat in the suddenly quiet hall, breathing hard. Every ambassador stared at him. No one spoke. No one moved. Then in the distance, alarms began to sound. Not emergency alarms, but notification tones. Every communication device in the room activated at once. Messages flooded in from across the ship and beyond. The throne's activation had been detected across multiple star systems. In seconds, the news was spreading to 1,000 worlds. A human had sat on the throne of dominion, and the throne had accepted him. Guards poured into the hall. They surrounded the platform, weapons drawn. An officer stepped forward. "Hyun of Earth," the officer said formally, "by order of the Galactic Council, you are under arrest. Do not resist." Hyun raised his hands. He did not resist. What could he do? He was just a cleaner who had touched the wrong chair. As they led him away, he looked back at the throne one last time. It sat dark and silent again, as if nothing had happened. But Hyun knew everything had changed. His simple life was over. He just did not know if what came next would be better or far, far worse. They took Hyun to a room that looked like a luxury apartment. It had a large bed, comfortable chairs, and a window showing the stars outside. But the door was locked from the outside. Guards stood in the hallway. This was a prison, just a nice one. Hyun sat on the bed and put his head in his hands. His mind raced with questions. Why had the throne responded to him? What did it mean? And most importantly, what would they do to him now? For 2 days, He saw no one except the guards who brought food. The meals were good, much better than what he normally ate, but Hyun barely tasted them. He paced the room, slept badly, and watched news broadcasts on the wall screen. The news talked about nothing else. The throne's activation was the biggest story in the galaxy. Every channel showed the footage over and over. Hyun watched himself stumble and touch the throne. He watched the light show. He looked terrified in the video. He felt terrified now. Some commentators said this proved humans were special. Others said it was a trick or a malfunction. A few said Hyun should be killed before he became dangerous. That made Hyun's stomach hurt. On the third day, the door opened. A woman walked in. She was human, which surprised Hyun. He had thought he would only see aliens. She was young, maybe 30 years old, with short black hair and glasses. She carried a tablet computer. "Hello, Hyun," she said in Korean. "My name is Yuna. I am a xenohistorian. That means I study ancient alien civilizations. Do you mind if I sit?" Hyun gestured to a chair. "Am I in trouble?" Yuna sat down and smiled sadly. "That depends on your definition of trouble. You are not being punished, but your life will never be the same. I am sorry for that." "Why did the throne react to me?" Hyun asked. "I am nobody, just a cleaner." "That is what I am here to explain," Yuna said. She activated her tablet. A hologram appeared, showing the throne. The throne of Dominion was built by the precursors approximately 3,200 years ago. They were the most advanced species the galaxy has ever known. At their peak, they united thousands of worlds under one peaceful empire. "What happened to them?" Hyun asked. "They disappeared, vanished in a single generation. No one knows why. They left behind incredible technology, but most of it will not work for us. The throne is one of their most famous artifacts." Yuna swiped her hand through the hologram. It changed to show complicated diagrams. "The throne does not measure political power or military strength. It measures something else, something in the mind. The precursors believed that true leadership required a specific way of thinking, a balance. What kind of balance? Strength and kindness, confidence and humility, the ability to compete but also cooperate, individual ambition balanced with care for others." Yuna looked at Hyun carefully. "These traits are rare in the galaxy. Most species evolve to be either very competitive or very cooperative. Not both." Hyun frowned. "Humans are both?" "Yes. Your species evolved in an unusual way. You were persistence hunters on Earth. That required groups to work together for days to chase prey. But you also competed within those groups for status and mates. You learned to be social and selfish at the same time, to trust and doubt, to lead and follow." Yuna pulled up more images. These showed brain scans. "Your neural architecture reflects this. Humans have strong development in areas for both empathy and personal ambition, for cooperation and competition. Most alien species have one or the other, but not both at equal strength." "So the throne saw my brain and liked it?" Hyun asked. It sounded absurd. "Essentially, yes. The throne scans for this specific pattern. You are not the only human who could activate it. Probably many humans could. But you were the first to touch it." Hyun stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see other ships. Some were military vessels. "What do they want from me?" Yuna was quiet for a moment. "That is complicated. The Galactic Council is divided. Some believe the throne's choice must be honored. In precursor culture, activating the throne meant you were meant to rule, to be the emperor." Hyun spun around. "That is insane. I cannot be an emperor. I do not know anything about politics or running a galaxy." "I know, and others on the council agree. They think this is dangerous. Some want to execute you. Some want to study you. Some want to use you as a puppet ruler they can control." "That is terrifying." "Yes," Yuna agreed. But there is more you need to know. The throne's activation did something else, something no one expected. She pulled up a star map. Red dots appeared on dozens of worlds. These are precursor installations, ancient facilities that have been dormant for thousands of years. When you activated the throne, you activated them too. Hyun stared at the map. What are they doing? Right now? Just turning on, running system checks. But this is causing panic. Some of these installations are weapons platforms. Others control terraforming systems or dimensional gates. If they fully activate and we cannot control them, the consequences could be catastrophic. Can you shut them down? Yuna shook her head. We have tried. They do not respond to our commands. Every precursor system is encrypted with codes we cannot break. But there is one thing we have not tried yet. Hyun understood. You want me to talk to them? Yes. The Council has agreed reluctantly to let you try. If you can communicate with the precursor network, you might be able to prevent disaster. And if I cannot, then entire star systems might lose power. Trade routes could collapse. Billions of lives would be at risk. Yuna stood up and faced him. I will not lie to you, Hyun. You did not ask for this. It is not fair. But you are the only chance we have. Hyun looked out at the stars again. He thought about his small apartment back on Earth, his simple job, his quiet life. All of that was gone now. Whether he helped or not, he would never be just a cleaner again. Will I be safe? He asked. I will do everything I can to protect you, Yuna said. But I cannot promise safety. Some very powerful beings want you dead. Others want to control you. The path ahead is dangerous. Hyun took a deep breath. He had never thought of himself as brave, but he was not a coward either. If he could help prevent disaster, he had to try. Okay, he said. I will do it. When do we start? Tomorrow morning. We will take you back to the throne. You will sit on it again and try to connect with the precursor network. We have scientists who will help guide you through the process. Yuna walked to the door, then paused. Hyun, can I tell you something? As someone who has studied the precursors my entire career? Yes. I think they would have liked you. They valued humility. They believed the best leaders were those who did not want power. You remind me of their philosophy. After Yuna left, Hyun lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Sleep would not come. His mind was too full. He thought about the throne, about the precursors, about the strange twist of fate that had brought him here. He thought about his mother back on Earth. She cleaned offices in Seoul. She had always told him that honest work was nothing to be ashamed of. She had been proud when he got the job on the flagship. What would she think now? The news was still playing on the wall screen. A debate show featured a panel of experts arguing about what should be done with him. Some spoke of him like he was a tool to be used. Others spoke like he was a threat to be eliminated. None of them spoke like he was a person. Hyun turned off the screen. He closed his eyes and tried to rest. Tomorrow he would sit on the throne again. Tomorrow he would try to speak to machines that were older than human civilization. Tomorrow his fate would be decided. He wondered if the precursors had known this would happen. Had they designed the throne to wait for humans? Or was it just chance that their test matched human minds? Perhaps he would find out tomorrow. Perhaps the throne would tell him. Or perhaps it would simply show him more wonders and mysteries. One thing Hyun knew for certain. The galaxy was watching him now. The lonely cleaner from Earth had become the most important human alive. And whether he succeeded or failed, history would remember this moment. He just hoped history would be kind. The crisis began during breakfast. Hyun was eating when alarms blared throughout the ship. Yuna rushed into his room without knocking. Her face was pale. Get dressed, she said. We have an emergency. What happened? The precursor installations are not just turning on anymore, they are taking action. A weapons platform near the Corvin system just locked onto 3 civilian transports. A terraforming station on Helios Prime started releasing gases into the atmosphere. We have 6 hours before the planet becomes uninhabitable. Hyun dropped his spoon. 6 hours? Maybe less. We need you at the throne now. They ran through the ship's corridors. Guards flanked them on both sides. Other crew members pressed against the walls to let them pass. Everyone stared at Hyun. Some faces showed hope. Others showed fear or anger. The museum hall was different now. Scientists had set up equipment around the throne. Cables and sensors covered every surface. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing data streams and star maps. At least 30 people worked frantically, checking readings and calling out numbers. A tall alien with green skin approached them. He had 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows across his forehead. Dr. Yuna, this is the human? Yes, Commander Beck. This is Hyun. Commander Beck studied Hyun with all 6 eyes. Can you control the precursor systems? I do not know, Hyun said honestly. I will try. Try hard. Millions of lives depend on it. Beck gestured to the throne. Sit. We will monitor everything. Hyun climbed the steps. The throne looked the same as before, dark and silent. He remembered the explosion of light. He remembered the feeling of the seat lifting into the air. His hands shook as he sat down. At first, nothing happened. Hyun waited. The scientists waited. Commander Beck's 6 eyes narrowed. Maybe it will not work again, someone whispered. Then warmth spread through Hyun's body. The throne began to glow, softer than before. The symbols lit up one by one, but this time was different. This time, Hyun felt something in his mind, a presence, a connection. Information flooded into his thoughts. Not words, but concepts and feelings. He saw images of thousands of worlds. He felt the pulse of machines waking after long sleep. And beneath it all, he sensed a vast intelligence waiting. It is working, Yuna said. Her voice seemed to come from far away. His brain activity is spiking. He is interfacing with the network. Hyun tried to focus. He thought about the weapons platform threatening the civilian ships. He imagined it powering down. On one of the holographic displays, data changed. The platform is responding, a scientist shouted. It is disengaging its targeting systems. Relief washed through the room, but Hyun felt something else through the connection. Confusion. The precursor network was questioning him. Why should it obey? What authority did he have? Hyun did not know how to answer. He was not an emperor. He had no authority. He was just trying to help people. The network responded to that thought. It showed him visions. He saw the precursors in their final days. They were not one species, but many. Tall and short, scaled and furred, humanoid and utterly alien. But they had learned to work together, to build something greater than any one species could achieve alone. He saw why they created the throne, not to find a dictator, not to crown a conqueror. They wanted to find species capable of unity, species who understood that strength came from diversity, that different minds working together achieved more than identical minds working separately. Humans, isolated on Earth for millions of years, had developed a unique balance. They competed fiercely but also formed deep bonds. They celebrated individuals but also worked in groups. They were suspicious of outsiders but could also embrace them as family. This was what the precursors had been waiting for. Not perfection, but potential. The vision shifted. Hyun saw why the precursors disappeared. They had not died. They had evolved beyond physical form. They became beings of pure energy and thought. But before they left, they wanted to ensure their work would continue. They built the throne as a test. They programmed their machines to sleep until someone worthy arrived. Someone who could unite the galaxy not through force, but through understanding. Hyun. Yuna's voice cut through the vision. The terraforming station is still active. Can you stop it? Hyun focused on Helios Prime. He felt the terraforming machine through the connection. It was following old commands, trying to reshape the planet to precursor specifications. It did not understand that people lived there now, different people who needed different air. He tried to tell it to stop, but the machine resisted. It had a purpose. It was programmed to complete its task. Hyun understood the problem. He could not just give orders. The precursor systems were not designed to follow commands blindly. They were designed to work with a leader who understood cooperation, who asked rather than demanded. He changed his approach. Instead of ordering the machine to stop, he explained why. He showed it images of the people on Helios Prime. He let it feel his concern for their lives. He asked if it would help him save them. The machine paused, considered, then it agreed. The terraforming stopped. "It worked," someone shouted. "The gas release has ceased." Cheers erupted in the hall. Scientists hugged each other. Even Commander Beck's stern face showed relief. But Hyun felt something else through the connection. The precursor network was giving him a choice, a question that would change everything. The network could remain dormant. It could shut down again and wait for another candidate. Or Hyun could accept the role it was offering. He could become the steward emperor, the one who guided the precursor systems and, by extension, had power over the galaxy. With that power, he could do incredible things: end wars, feed hungry worlds, advance science and medicine. But he would also be responsible for everything that went wrong. Every mistake, every failure. The weight would be crushing. Hyun thought about what Yuna had told him. The precursors valued humility. They believed the best leaders were those who did not want power. He made his decision. Through the connection, he told the network no, he would not become emperor. That was not what the galaxy needed. One person, no matter how well-meaning, should not have absolute power. That was a path to tyranny. But he offered something else. If the network's purpose was to find beings capable of unity, then test others. Allow representatives from different species to interface with the throne. Let them prove they understood cooperation and balance. Create a council of stewards, not a single emperor. The network was silent for a long moment. Then it showed Hyun one final vision. He saw the galaxy torn apart by war, species fighting over the right to control the precursor systems, billions dying as civilizations clashed. This was what would happen if he refused the role entirely. But he also saw another path. A council of many species working together. It would be difficult. There would be conflicts and failures, but it would be better than tyranny or chaos. The network asked, would he serve as the first steward? Not an emperor, but a guide. Someone to help establish this new council and teach others what the throne tested for. Hyun felt the weight of that responsibility. It was still enormous. But it was not absolute power. It was service. He agreed. The connection broke. The throne's light faded. Hyun slumped forward, exhausted. Yuna caught him before he fell. "What happened?" she asked. "What did you see?" Hyun took a shaky breath. "The precursors left us a gift. And a test. I think I passed, but the real test is just beginning." Commander Beck approached the throne. "The precursor systems are entering standby mode. They are stable. You did it, human." "Hyun," Yuna corrected. "His name is Hyun." "Yes. Forgive me. Hyun." Beck actually bowed his head slightly. "You have saved countless lives today. The Council owes you a great debt." But even as Beck spoke, alarms sounded again. Different alarms this time. Battle stations. A communications officer ran into the hall. "Commander, we have multiple ships approaching. The Catharian fleet. They are demanding we surrender the human or they will attack." Beck's expression darkened. "How many ships?" 15, including 3 battlecruisers. The room fell silent. 15 Catharian ships was a serious force. The Catharians were a warrior culture. They would not be impressed by Hyun's connection to the precursor network. They would see it as a threat. Yuna stepped protectively in front of Hyun. "We cannot let them take him." "We may not have a choice," Beck said grimly. "This ship is not a warship. We cannot fight a fleet." Hyun stood up on shaky legs. He had just saved millions of people. Now a war might start over him. The galaxy was already dividing. Those who supported the throne's choice and those who opposed it. He looked at the throne one more time. The precursors had given him a gift, but gifts always came with a price. He was beginning to understand just how high that price might be. The Catharian fleet arrived within the hour. 15 warships surrounded the Council flagship. Their weapons were powered up. Their shields glowed with deadly energy. A face appeared on every screen in the ship. It belonged to War Master J, the commander of the Catharian fleet. He looked almost human, except for the silver markings that covered his skin and the 4 horns that curved back from his head. "Council ship," Jay said in a deep voice. "You harbor a threat to galactic stability. Surrender the human called Hyun, and we will depart peacefully." Commander Beck stood in the command center. Hyun and Yuna stood beside him. "War Master J," Beck replied carefully, "the human has committed no crime. He cannot be surrendered." "He activated precursor technology. He claims authority over systems that could destroy worlds. That makes him a threat." "He used that technology to save lives," Yuna said, stepping forward. "He stopped the weapons platform. He halted the terraforming crisis. He is helping us, not threatening us." Jay's eyes fixed on Yuna. "You are human too. Your opinion is biased. No single being should control precursor systems, certainly not a species that only entered galactic society 5 years ago." "Then let us find a solution," Hyun said quietly. All eyes turned to him. He swallowed hard but continued. "War Master J is right. No single being should have this power. That is why I refuse to become Emperor." Interest flickered in Jay's expression. "Explain." "The throne tests for a specific way of thinking, a balance between different traits. I activated it because humans evolved to have this balance. But we are not the only ones who might pass the test." "What are you suggesting?" Hyun took a deep breath. This was the idea that had formed during his connection with the network. It was risky, but it might prevent war. "I invite you to try, War Master. Sit on the throne. If it accepts you, then you will understand what I experienced. You will see what the precursors wanted. And if enough leaders from different species can activate it, we can form a council. No emperor, just stewards working together." Silence filled the command center. Then someone laughed. It was Vel, the Valorian ambassador. He had been present since the crisis began. "The human wants our enemies to sit on the throne," Vel said mockingly. "This is absurd. The Catharians are warriors. They know only strength and conquest. The throne will reject them." Jay's face darkened with anger. "Careful, Valorian. You forget that Catharian warriors have kept your soft species safe for generations." "I forget nothing," Vel shot back. "Enough," Commander Beck said. "Hyun, this is a dangerous proposal. What if the throne accepts War Master J and he decides to become Emperor himself?" "Then I will have failed," Hyun said simply. "But I do not think that will happen. The throne shows you visions. It teaches you what the precursors believed. If J can activate it, he will understand why one emperor is wrong." Yuna touched Hyun's arm. "Are you sure about this?" "No," Hyun admitted. "But what choice do we have? If we refuse, the Catharians will attack. More species will take sides. We will have war. This way there is a chance for peace." Jay studied Hyun for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "I accept your challenge, human. If this throne is real, if it truly tests for worthy leadership, Then I have nothing to fear. I have led my people for 20 years. I have won 43 battles. I have made peace with former enemies. Surely that shows balance. Then come aboard, Beck said, alone and unarmed. No, Jay replied. I will bring 2 guards. You have my word they will not attack unless I am threatened. After tense negotiations, they agreed. Jay and 2 Catharian soldiers boarded the flagship. The War Master was tall and muscular, walking with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. His guards followed silently, their hands on their weapons. They brought Jay to the museum hall. Scientists had cleared away most of the equipment. The throne sat on its platform, dark and waiting. Jay circled it slowly, examining every angle. It looks like a chair, just a fancy chair. Sit on it, Hyun said. Then you will see. If this is a trap, it is not a trap, I promise. Jay looked at Hyun. Something passed between them. An understanding, perhaps. 2 men who had been given responsibilities they did not ask for. The War Master climbed the steps. He sat down on the throne. Nothing happened. Seconds passed, then minutes. The throne remained dark. No lights, no sounds, no visions. Vel laughed. As I predicted, the throne rejects him. Warriors have no place on a seat of wisdom. Humiliation burned in Jay's eyes. He stood up quickly. This is a human trick. That throne is broken or programmed to respond only to your species. Wait, Yuna said. She was studying her tablet. Look at this. The throne is scanning him. It is just taking longer. Why? Jay demanded. I am not sure. Maybe because your neural pattern is more different from what it expects. Maybe because... The throne blazed with light. It was not as bright as when Hyun sat on it, but it was unmistakable. The symbols glowed. The platform hummed. Jay's eyes went wide. I see, he whispered. I see them. The precursors. They are showing me... He trailed off, lost in visions only he could see. His guards stepped forward, alarmed. Hyun raised a hand. Wait. Let him experience it. For 5 minutes, Jay sat motionless. Light played across his face. When the throne finally went dark again, he remained seated, staring at nothing. War Master? One of his guards said nervously. Jay stood slowly. He looked different, older somehow. Or maybe just tired. I was wrong, he said quietly. We were all wrong. The throne does not test for strength. It tests for understanding, for the ability to see beyond your own species, to care about those different from yourself while still honoring what makes you unique. He turned to Hyun. You experienced this? Yes. And you refused to become emperor? Yes. Jay nodded. That was wise. I saw what would happen if one person held all that power. Even with good intentions, it would corrupt. It would create resentment. It would divide the galaxy more than unite it. So you agree with my proposal? Hyun asked. A council of stewards? I do, but it will not be easy. Many will oppose this, some out of ambition, others out of fear. We will need more than just 2 of us. Then we invite others, Yuna said excitedly. We broadcast the invitation across the galaxy. Any leader who wishes to prove their worthiness can come and try the throne. Commander Beck shook his head. You will have hundreds of applicants, thousands. Most will fail. Let them try, Jay said. Those who fail will at least understand why. They will see their own limitations. That is valuable knowledge. Over the next weeks, they did exactly that. Word spread across the galaxy. Leaders from 100 worlds came to sit on the throne. Emperors and presidents, warlords and pacifists, scientists and mystics. Most failed. The throne remained dark for them. Some left angry, some left thoughtful. A few left weeping, having seen themselves clearly for the first time. But some succeeded. A Valorian scientist named Nari made the throne glow softly. She was the first of her species to pass the test. A Myran diplomat named Bin activated it. A Corvan farmer, a Helion teacher. Each one who succeeded experienced the same visions. Each one came to the same conclusion. The galaxy needed cooperation, not domination. But not everyone accepted this. Some species felt insulted that their leaders failed. Some claimed the throne was biased. Old rivalries flared into new conflicts. Border disputes became skirmishes. Skirmishes became battles. The galaxy was dividing. Those who accepted the throne's judgment versus those who rejected it. Those who wanted change versus those who wanted to maintain old power structures. 3 months after Hyun first sat on the throne, a woman arrived who would change everything. Her name was Mina, and she was the elected leader of the Miron Federation, one of the largest alliances in the galaxy. She was small and slight, with blue skin and silver hair. She walked with a cane, having been injured in a terrorist attack years before. When she entered the museum hall, Hyun felt hope. "Leader Mina," he said, bowing respectfully. "Thank you for coming." "Do not thank me yet," she replied. Her voice was soft but firm. "I am here because my federation is tearing itself apart. Half my worlds want to join your new council. Half want to remain independent. I need to see for myself if this throne is real or just human propaganda." "Only one way to find out," Jay said. He had become Hyun's unlikely ally, staying on the flagship to help screen candidates. Mina approached the throne. She did not hesitate. She sat down immediately. The light that erupted was the brightest anyone had seen except for Hyun's first activation. The entire hall blazed. The symbols did not just glow, they burned. The platform rose a full meter into the air. When it was over, Mina sat quietly for a moment. Then she smiled. It was a sad smile, full of understanding. "So this is what it means to be worthy," she said softly. "Not to be perfect, not to be the strongest or smartest, just to see clearly, to understand both your own value and your own limits." She looked at Hyun. "You refused this power. That took courage, but someone must guide this council. Someone must be the first steward. Will you accept that role?" Hyun looked at all the faces watching him. Jay, Yuna, Commander Beck, Mina, and through the screens, billions more across the galaxy. He thought about his mother cleaning offices in Seoul, about his simple life as a maintenance worker, about the throne that had chosen him for reasons he still did not fully understand. "Yes," he said, "I will serve, but not alone. I will need all of you." Mina stood and extended her hand. "Then let us build something the precursors would be proud of." As Hyun shook her hand, he knew the hardest work was still ahead. But for the first time since he stumbled and touched that throne, he felt hope. Maybe the galaxy could change. Maybe they could learn to work together. Maybe one human cleaner could help make it happen. 5 years later, Hyun stood on the observation deck of Unity Station and watched the stars. The station was new, built specifically to house the Council of Stewards. It orbited no planet, belonging to no species. It was neutral ground. Behind him, Yuna approached. She had become his closest advisor, though she preferred the title of friend. "You are thinking too much again," she said. Hyun smiled. "Is that possible? I am the first steward. Thinking is my job. Your job is to guide, not to carry every burden yourself." She stood beside him at the window. "The ceremony starts in an hour. Are you ready?" "To step down?" "Yes. I have been ready for a year." It had been a difficult 5 years. The Council of Stewards had grown to 23 members, representing 17 species. They met monthly to discuss problems, mediate disputes, and manage the precursor systems. It was messy and slow. Arguments happened often, but it worked. Not everyone accepted the new order. Some species still rejected the throne's authority. There had been violence, 3 attempted assassinations of council members, 2 small wars that required intervention, countless political fights. But there had also been progress. The precursor systems, under council guidance, had improved life across hundreds of worlds. Terraforming projects created new habitats. Advanced medical technology cured diseases. Energy systems provided power to developing civilizations. More importantly, species that had never cooperated before were now working together. The Catharians and Valorians had formed a joint military academy. The Corvin and Helion had merged their scientific research. Slowly, painfully, the galaxy was learning unity. Hyun's role as first steward had been to set the example, to show that leadership meant service, not domination, to prove that even someone from a dismissed species could make a difference through humility and hard work. Now it was time to pass that role to someone else. The council had voted, and Mina would become the second steward. She had earned the position through 5 years of wise decisions and patient diplomacy. "Do you regret it?" Yuna asked. "Any of it?" Hyun considered the question. "I regret the people who died because of political resistance. I regret not being able to convince everyone. But the work itself? No. Someone had to try." "I am glad it was me. What will you do now?" "I have accepted a position at the academy, teaching." Yuna raised her eyebrows. "Teaching what?" "The principles the throne tests for: empathy, balance, cooperation. If we can teach these things to the next generation, maybe they will do better than we did." "You make a better teacher than emperor." "I was never an emperor," Hyun said firmly. That was the whole point. They walked together through Unity Station toward the ceremony hall. The station was busy, full of delegates from across the galaxy. Some greeted Hyun warmly, others simply nodded. A few still looked at him with suspicion or resentment. In the hall, seats filled with dignitaries. The 23 council members sat on a raised platform. The throne sat in the center, but it was dark now. They had learned to interface with it remotely when needed. No one sat on it anymore except when testing new candidates. Jay stood near the platform. The War Master had become the council's military coordinator. He had transformed from a warrior seeking victory to a defender seeking peace. He nodded to Hyun. "Ready to be free?" Jay asked. "I will never be completely free," Hyun replied. "I will always be the first steward in history. But yes, I am ready for someone else to carry the weight." Mina approached them, walking slowly with her cane. 5 years as a council member had aged her, but her eyes were still sharp and kind. "Hyun," she said, "I want you to know I will try to honor what you started, but I will make mistakes. Everyone does." "I know. That is okay. We learn from mistakes." The ceremony began. Commander Beck, who had become the station administrator, gave a speech about the founding of the council. He talked about the throne's activation, the crisis that followed, and the brave decision to share power rather than hoard it. Then Hyun stepped forward to address the assembly. He had written a speech but decided not to use it. Instead, he spoke from his heart. 5 years ago, I was a cleaner. I took care of floors and windows. I was invisible to most of the people on that ship. Then I touched a throne, and everything changed. He looked out at the hundreds of faces watching him, some human, most not. I did not want to be special. I did not want responsibility. I wanted my simple life back. But that life was gone the moment the throne accepted me. So I had a choice. I could run from responsibility, or I could try to use it for good. I chose to try, and I learned something important. Being special is not about being better than others. It is about having an opportunity to serve, to help, to make things a little better than you found them. The throne did not make me emperor. It made me a servant. That is what all leaders should be. servants of their people, servants of the common good. He gestured to the council members. These 23 beings represent the best of what the throne tested for. They think beyond their own species. They balance strength with compassion. They understand that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. But they are not perfect. None of us are. We have made mistakes. We will make more. The difference is, we try to learn from them. Hyun paused, gathering his thoughts. Some of you still do not accept the council's authority. That is your right. We do not force compliance. We invite cooperation. The difference matters. Some of you think humans received special treatment because I activated the throne first. But look at our council. Only 3 of 23 members are human. This is not about one species ruling others. It is about all species learning to work together. I step down today with hope. Hope that what we started will continue. Hope that future generations will laugh at how divided we once were. Hope that the precursors, wherever they are proud of what we have built. He turned to Mina. Second Steward Mina, I transfer this responsibility to you with confidence. Lead well, lead with kindness, and remember that you serve, not rule. Mina stood and bowed. I accept this responsibility with humility. Thank you, First Steward Hyun, for showing us the way. The hall erupted in applause. Not everyone clapped. Some sat with crossed arms. But most recognized the significance of this moment. A peaceful transfer of power, no coups, no violence, just democracy and cooperation. After the ceremony, there was a reception. Hyun found himself surrounded by well-wishers. Many wanted to thank him. Some wanted to take pictures. A few wanted to offer him jobs or opportunities. He handled it all with the same patient kindness he had shown for 5 years. But he was tired. He had been tired for a long time. Yuna rescued him eventually, pulling him away to a quiet balcony. You need a break from people. Thank you. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching ships come and go from the station. Each ship carried beings from different worlds, different species, all gathering here to solve problems together. It was imperfect, but it was beautiful. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Vel had not made you sit on the throne? Yuna asked. If he had just let you pick up your cleaning supplies and leave? Hyun laughed. All the time, my life would be much simpler. But would it be better? I do not know. Simpler does not always mean better. A message appeared on Yuna's tablet. She read it and frowned. There is news. A deep space probe has found something. Another precursor facility, far beyond known space. It is massive, much larger than anything we have seen before. What is it? They do not know yet, but there are warnings attached to it. Danger symbols, references to external threats. Hyun felt a chill. He remembered the visions the throne had shown him. The precursors had left their empire as a gift, but also as a tool. They had prepared for something, a threat they knew would come eventually. We will need to investigate, he said. You are stepping down, remember? Let Mina handle it. I am stepping down from leadership, but I am still a teacher. If there is knowledge to be gained, I want to learn it, to pass it on. Yuna smiled. You cannot stop yourself, can you? Always trying to help. Is that so bad? No. It is what made the throne choose you. Later that night, Hyun sat alone in his quarters. He had a video call scheduled with his mother back on Earth. She appeared on screen, her face weathered but smiling. My son the steward, she said proudly. Or former steward now. How does it feel? Like I can breathe again, Mother. Good. You work too hard. You always have. She paused. Your father would have been proud. I wish he had lived to see this. Me too. They talked about small things. His mother's job, his younger sister's new baby, the weather in Seoul. Normal, human concerns. It grounded Hyun, reminded him where he came from. After the call ended, he stood at his window again. He thought about the new precursor facility, about the warnings, about whatever threat the precursors had prepared for. The council would investigate. They would learn what they could. And if danger came, they would face it together. That was what the throne had taught them. That was what made them stronger than any empire. Hyun touched the window, his reflection staring back at him. He was 33 now, still young. He had decades ahead of him to teach, to learn, to help build this new galactic order. The throne had chosen him because he was human, because his species had the balance the precursors valued. But it was not just about humans. Every species had something to contribute. Every culture had wisdom to share. His job now was to help others understand that, to take the lessons he learned sitting on that throne and pass them on, to ensure that future leaders would be better than the current generation. It was a good job, an important job. And unlike being first steward, it did not require him to attend quite so many boring political meetings. Hyun smiled at that thought. Perhaps his life was finding balance at last. Service without overwhelm, purpose without burden, connection without losing himself. He thought about Vel, the Valorian ambassador who had mockingly told him to sit on the throne. Vel had meant it as a joke, a way to humiliate a lowly human. Instead, he had changed the galaxy. Funny how things worked out. A moment of cruel humor became the catalyst for transformation. A stumbling cleaner became the first steward. An ancient throne, dark for millennia, blazed to life. The precursors had been right to wait. The galaxy had not been ready before. Maybe it was still not ready now. But it was learning, growing, becoming something better. And Hyun had played his part in that. A small part, perhaps, in the grand scope of galactic history, but a part nonetheless. He turned away from the window and went to bed. Tomorrow he would start teaching. Tomorrow a new chapter would begin. But tonight, he could rest. The throne had chosen him. He had served, and now he could simply be Hyun again. It was enough.